All right, SAT percents A. Let's take a look at these. So number one, book was on sale for 40% off its original price. The sale price was $18. What was the original price? So we need to go backwards. So whenever I set these up, I always, I have my original price. And then we do some sort of a percent, increase or decrease where we're doing 1 plus or minus the percent. And then we end up with our final price, or our sale price, if it's a sale going on. So I'm going to fill in what I know and what I don't know. So I don't know the original price. I do know that it was 40% off. So 1 minus 0.40. And then I also know that the final price of the book was $18. So when I kind of clean this up a little bit, I'm going to get X times 0.60. So I'm really paying 60% of full price. Is $18, divides both sides by 60. And looks like we are at $30. The correct answer there would be C. Right? Let's go down to the next question. The atomic weight of an unknown element. So let's just refer to that as X, I guess. Is approximately 20% less than calcium. So the unknown is 20% less than calcium. Well, how much is calcium? The atomic weight of calcium is 40. So if I want to do 20% less than 40, well, there's 40. This would leave it unchanged, but I need 20% less. So I got to do 1 minus 0.20, or 0.80, which is going to come out to be 32. So the unknown element must be 32. All right. Keep on going down. The next one, number 3. Katrina studied the production of pears. She noticed that type A, so this type right here, produced 20% more than B. All right, so kind of A is 20% more than B. So how I write that, I say A is, well, here's B. That's B. And then 20% more than B would be that. And based on our observation, type A was 144. So I'm going to replace the 144 here. And to figure out how much B is, I divide both sides by 1.20. 1.20, 12 goes in there, 120. Correct answer, B. Right. Number 4, big old grid problem here. Got a graph going on. Let's see what we can do. For quality control, a company manufactures light bulbs, conducted 5 trials. So it looks like we have A, B, C, D, and E. 5 different trials. In each trial, 500 light bulbs were tested. The bar shows the number of defective bulbs. In trial B, what percent of the bulbs were defective? So it looks like our top number here is 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the top of that bar represents 7. So what percent of the light bulbs out of all of them? So we had 7 out of 500. So I'm just going to put that in a calculator. I'm going to divide it out. I'm going to say 700, or not 700, 7 divided by 500 is 0.14. And then I either need to times it by 100 or move my decimal 2 to the right, and I'll get 1.4%. So the correct answer there is C. Number 5 says at Lincoln High School, 7% of the juniors and 5% of the seniors were inducted into NHS. So let me write that down. So let me see, we have 7% of the juniors, and we had 5% of the seniors made it in. If there were 562 juniors and 602 seniors in the high school, which of the following is closest to the total number of juniors and seniors that got in? So we need their total. So let me see, we have 7% of 562, and then we had 5% of the 602. Well, whenever you want to do percent of a number, you just change it to a decimal and multiply. So 7% of 562 is that. And then we're going to add that to 5% of all the seniors. And that should give us our total. So 0.07 times 562. So that comes out to be 39.34. But you can't really have 0.34 of a kid in NHS. So we have 39. And 0.05 times 602 is about roughly 30. So it looks like we have a grand total of 69. Notice they had both other numbers there, just as distractors. Number 6, the amount of money a performer earns is proportional to the number of people attending. Performer earns $120 for 8 people. So right now we've earned $120 for 8 people. He uses 43% of the money to pay costs and putting it on, so that might be like rent and marketing and everything else. The rest of the money is the profit. So the rest of the money is profit. So if we're looking at percentages, 43% of the 120 is the cost to put it on, which means 57% of 120 is the profit. So this is what we want. We want the 57%. So 0.57 times 120 is, it's like 68.40 for profit. Now it's very common that people do the 0.43 times 120, and that will give you 51.60, but they kind of threw you off by giving you the cost one, but then asking for the profit. So if you picked A, you just kind of misread the question. You did the percent right. Number 7. So this one says, the table above shows the distribution of genres of video games. Total number of games was 250,000. So we have 250,000 total games. How many of the genres were more than 40,000? Well, they're giving me this in percentages. So if I want more than 40,000, I got to figure out what percentage 40,000 of the total 250. So I'm just going to put in, well, if I get rid of all the zeros, it's really just 4 divided by 25. Save myself some time. So 0.16, which when you times it by 100, you're looking at 16%. So if you get 16%, you're at 40,000. So how many genres were more than 40,000 or more than 16%? Well, that looks like correct answer 3. Number 8 says in 2015, X and Y were equal. From 2010 to 2015, X increased by 20, Y decreased by 10. Population of X was, holy smokes, there's a lot going on here. So let me write down a couple things. So we have the year, let me do this, 2010, and then this is going to be 2015. And we have city X, and we have city Y. And from 10 to 15, X increased by 20%. So from 20 to 15, X is going to increase by 20%, and Y is going to decrease by 10%. So decrease by 10%. And if the population of X was 120,000, so they finally give me a real number. So this was 120,000. What was the population of Y in 2010? So this is what we don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. But the other clue was they were equal in 2015. So I need these two answers over here to be equal to each other. Well, let's just kind of run the math. So if I had 120,000 and I increase by 20%, well, that's going to be 120,000. Increase of 20% is 1 plus 20%. So we're looking at 144,000. And if they were equal, that means this is 144,000. So we're kind of asking ourselves, so I can put a little equation together from right here. This can give me a nice little equation. I can say, I don't know, decreased by 10% and ended up being 144,000. So that's just X times 0.90 is 144,000. And divide both sides by 0.90. Boom, 160,000. Let's see. Oh, nice. Sitting right there. This feels good when you see your answer. Number 9. Thomas installed a new stove. At the time of the installation, the stove had a value of $800. So we are at $800. Each year, the value of the stove will depreciate. Okay, depreciate means it's going to drop 20%. So if I take 800 and I drop 20%, well, that's going to be 0.80. That's 1 year. What is the estimated value 2 years? So I got to do it again. It drops another 20%. If it did it 3 years, I would do another 0.80. But they want to know what it's worth after 2 years. So 800 times 0.8 times 0.8, or I could have did the second power, but it doesn't really matter. 512. B. Number 10, our boy Martin. Martin spent $855 on a trip. So we got $855 spent. Expenses include a hotel, rental, car, and meals. He spent 50% more for the hotel than for the rental car and meals combined. All right, so we got hotel, and then we got the rental car and the meals combined. So let's just kind of draw that out. So we got hotel, we got car / food. And it said he spent more, 50% more. So kind of write this out. Hotel is 50% more than car and meals. Well, if they were even, it would be a little over $400. So they want to know how much did he spend on the hotel. It definitely can't be C or D because those are less than $400. That'd be less than half. So it's either A or B. Now we have a couple options. We could just plug and chug and we could start trying some numbers. Or we could do an algebra way. So the hotel is 50% more than the car or the meal. So let's just do this. I don't know what the car and the meal is. All right, so let's just call this X. And 50% more, all right, well, that would be 1.50x. You know, that would make it 1.5 times bigger. And I know that together, it came out to be 855. So if I do my algebra and I combine some like terms there, And I could basically divide, 855 divided by 2.5 is 342. But the hotel was the 1.5x. So 342 times 1.5 is, looks like 513. So it's looking like the correct answer is B. Now, if you weren't sure how to set up the algebra, you could just do it a different way. You could say, well, let's try 570. If 570 is the hotel, then that leaves, if I do that, that leaves 285 for the meal, the rental car and the meal. But this is supposed to be 50% more. So if I do 285 increase of 50%, it's not going to come out to be 570. It's going to come out to be 427. So that doesn't work. So I couldn't use A. And if you did B, same way, it would work like that. So that's another option.